What's going on, everybody? If you're watching this, that means it's probably March 31st when this is first going out, and this is the anniversary of when I almost died. So, story time. Before we get into it, like we start every video, glory be to God and our Lord Jesus Christ, and I hope you guys are having a great day so far. So let's get right into it. So to set the stage, it's probably around March 2012. I'm about 11 years old, 10 years old. I'm in about 4th grade. Just a little kid, having fun, doing little kid things. Summer's right around the corner. I'm super excited. Hockey's going well. I'm having tryouts within the next couple of weeks. My family's doing good. Everybody's pretty good. Everything's pretty normal. A couple weeks prior to the incident, I noticed I was having these small headaches. They weren't anything extreme, just seems to be lingering around a little bit. Maybe it was allergies. You know, the season's changing and it's spring, but who knows? Didn't really think anything of it. I wasn't taking any medications for it at that time, just because there wasn't anything super wrong. Fast forward, I'm at my grandma's, and you know, I love being at my grandma's. Grandma, if you're watching this, hello. I love playing with the neighborhood kids. I love spending time with my sister, with my grandparents over there. It was always awesome. And I noticed that I was having this lingering headache again. And it's only about 8 or 9 o'clock. Even though I'm a little kid, it was probably a weekend, so I wanted to stay up, who knows, watch Sabres game, something like that. And I wasn't feeling good, so I wanted to go to bed. Again, didn't think much of it, just wanted to go. And then fast forward, probably around midnight hits, and all of a sudden, there is this sharp, pounding pain throughout my entire head. My temples, my forehead, the back of my head, everything was just in such pain. It felt like Thanos himself is just squeezing my head with the infinity gauntlet, and everything was just about to explode. Everything hurt so bad. So I wake my grandma up, and I'm screaming and I'm crying at this point. And I look at her and go, call mom and dad. I need to go home. This never happens. I'm always so comfortable at my grandparents' house at that point as a kid, and I never would go home early. So the fact that I made her call them was a pretty big deal. And so at that time, she lived up in the hills, which was only about 20 minutes away from our house. And my parents come in and like, what's going on? What's the matter? I'm still crying. Everything's hurting. The pain hasn't gone away. If anything, it's intensifying. They said, you know what? Let's just go home. We'll try to get you settled and we'll take you to the doctor's tomorrow. So I get in the car. We start driving. And the pain is so excruciating throughout my entire face, my head, the back of my head, everything in my neck, that it's starting to make me physically nauseous. So as we're driving, I'm screaming at my dad, pull over, pull over. As soon as he pulls over, I whip open the car door and I start throwing up outside on the curb. I just got my braces off a couple weeks earlier, so I had a retainer that I wear all the time, and that comes out with it. And I remember this being so jarring because I didn't have a stomach ache or anything, but because of the pain that was so bad in my head, it upset my GI tract. You know, looking back, it's pretty cool how the body has that interconnectedness, that something up here can hurt something down here. But aside from that, it was really scary and it was hurting really, really bad. I got back into the car after throwing up. It dulled a little bit, or I just became desensitized to the pain at that point. But ended up going home and went to bed. The next morning, my mom scheduled a doctor's visit, but it was super weird because I go to the doctor's and virtually no headache. So I'm walking around like this chipper kid, everything's going well. They're kind of looking at me like there's nothing wrong. Why are you here? And my mom's telling him like he had such excruciating pain in his head. We don't know what was going on. They do all the tests. They're looking through my nose, into my throat, and my eyes, seeing what was the matter. They said he seems pretty fine, so we're just going to chalk it up to a sinus infection and kind of go from there, monitor as we need to. So they gave me an antibiotic, a couple steroids, whatever, went home, sent me on my way. And within the next couple days, the same episode pretty much happened again. I didn't go to school because my mom wanted to keep a close eye on me, but as the day progressed, the headaches kept getting worse and worse. And it got to the point where I'm screaming and feeling like I'm pulling my hair out because the pain is so bad, so concentrated. I'm screaming at my mom, help me, please help me. Like figure out something that we can do here because I'm in such excruciating pain. And they rushed me back into the doctor's office. Pretty much the exact same thing. Like, you know, we really think it's a sinus infection. At this point, the pain's starting to dial back a little bit. We think it's a sinus infection. Here, we're going to up the dosage of what we got for you. Hopefully it clears in a couple days. And then the next day happens again, but now the pain, which was already at a 10 out of 10, hits a scale of 30, 40, 50 out of 10. And it's just so bad. It's borderline blinding. I'm crawling out of my skin. I have no idea. I've never felt any pain like this. I haven't felt any pain like this since. Knock on wood, I hope I never do, God willing. But it was so bad, and it hurt so bad that my parents said, you know what, we're just going to take him to the emergency room. The Children's Hospital is in downtown Buffalo. I'm from Buffalo, New York, and we lived out in the suburbs, so it was a little bit of a drive. But I specifically remember we're going around a roundabout, And again, I'm getting nauseous. I'm not feeling good because my head pain is so bad. So we had to whip the car door open, and there's this little 11-year-old poking his head out the car door, throwing up onto the curb in the middle of the city. And there's like pink and purple chunks because of like the Tylenol and Advil that I was taking, whatever it was. And it's coming up, and that was so jarring because that's such a crazy picture to think about now, is if you're just a bystander walking down the street and you're like, what is going on? I probably looked like a lunatic. So we make it to the emergency room. My mom has some good connections downtown with the doctors there, so I was able to get triaged pretty quickly, and I had immediate attention right away. The pain's escalating, everything's hurting really badly now, and we're asking questions. I'm throwing up in between answering them, and then all of a sudden, blank. My entire face goes blank. They're still trying to ask me questions. I'm completely unresponsive. It was as if I had no brain in my body. Everything completely shut down. And I'd go in and out of consciousness. Apparently, this is all secondhand information because I don't remember it, obviously. I couldn't see anything. The one part that I do remember is my dad would stick his hand in front of my face and he would ask, can you see me? Can you kind of process what's going on? And I remember some picture, it was very distorted, but his hand was this close to my face and I couldn't see anything. I'm super scared at this point. I say I can't see anything. Glasses aren't helping. Nothing's helping. Pretty much with a combination of me going blind, going unresponsive, the doctors are looking around, looking at each other like, what is going on? And so eventually they moved me into the intensive care unit, or the ICU, where I'm getting monitored by pretty much every specialist possible. I'm seeing nephrologist, radiologist, cardiologist, neurologist, everything that could end an ologist in the hospital at this point. And I'm a little kid, I'm 11, so all I know is I'm sitting back in this chair and they're hooking a bunch of wires to me. I'm getting stabbed with IV tubes, and I keep hearing this beeping going out above my head, and it's super loud and it's super frequent. I don't know what it was at that time, but looking back, apparently my blood pressure was skyrocketing to crazy levels that would be alarming for an adult, not even just a kid. And I have no notorious blood pressure problems. It's not genetic in my family. So it's a big red flag when an 11-year-old comes in with blood pressure problems that's escalating this fast for no reason. So the days start piling on of just continuous pain. Some moments are duller than others, and then other times I'm going unresponsive and blind again. It's this back and forth and this kind of dance that no one really knows what's happening. I'm getting every test under the book. I'm getting MRIs, CAT scans, EEGs, EKGs, whatever there is, you name it, because they were just trying to pin it down. And it's really scary looking back for my parents because they're having conversations with the doctors, and a lot of my symptoms are pretty much congruent with brain cancer, autoimmune disease, all things that are not good that could potentially kill me while I'm in my hospital stay. And so their main priority is trying to figure out what's wrong with me and how to stabilize me and limit the pain. And in addition to all of those tests, I specifically remember one night a physician and a chief resident come in and they say, you know what, we want to run one more test to see, I don't even know what it was at that point, what they were testing for. I would probably have to do more research, but this is more of a story time, so it doesn't really matter. And they go, we want to run one more test. What we need you to do is we need you to take off your gown and hunch over while you're sitting down on the table. Okay, it's happening. And then she pulls me around and she has a needle that's probably about this big. And she says, what I need you to do is I need you to bend over and we're going to stick this needle in between your spine so we can get some of the fluid that is through there and we can run our tests. I'm not afraid of needles, but I certainly don't want to get stabbed in the back. So I said, you know what, let's just do it. And the first one goes in, she's injecting, starts to extract. Pain is really intense. I'm trying not to cry. I'm trying not to scream. I'm gritting my teeth because it's in the middle of the night and I don't want to wake everybody up. And the pain is just like fire down my spinal column. It's so bad. And she looks at the chief resident and said, you do it. I didn't get any. Try to get some of your reps in. Hopefully you can get it. They do the same thing again. Inject, eject, extract. Nothing. Whatever they were looking for wasn't there. That night I ended up getting 3 total spinal taps. They were just stabbing me, trying to get it through. And it was nobody's fault. It wasn't the doctors. It wasn't a malpractice thing. It was just the spinal fluid was really hard to get for some reason at that point. So I had to go the next day under guided radiology. They had an x-ray, ultrasound, whatever type of assistant technologies that they could possibly use to make sure they got the spinal tap. They struck a nerve in my leg, which kind of sucked. The nerve that radiated down my leg, which kind of sucked. That kind of hurt. but I was really scared, hurt again. At least they numbed it up a little bit this time. So fun fact, I ended up with 4 total spinal taps within a period of a week, and I don't recommend it. And so more time goes on. They're not really sure what's going on still. They're running all of their diagnostic tests. They're running every test under the sun, and I'm not really getting any better. I'm pretty much plateauing. The headaches are still in full swing. My parents actually felt so bad about the couple days prior with the spinal taps that they let me choose between an iPod Touch and a Kindle Fire, and I chose the Kindle Fire like an idiot for some reason. It was still very nice of them to do. They did not have to do that at all. But I used that Kindle Fire a lot growing up, so I appreciate Mom and Dad. But a key memory that I remember is I have a very large extended family, and a lot of them would be walking in, and they would come in and sit next to me, and they'd rub my temples, trying to alleviate some of the pain for me. And I would be playing a Family Feud, like, guessing game on the Kindle Fire, and it was pretty funny looking back on it. But that was how bad the headaches were, that people would be sitting next to me, just taking turns rubbing my head, trying to give me some relief. And it actually worked a little bit, but still not enough to kind of take all the pain away. This continued on for a couple more days, but I didn't recognize how serious the situation was until I had a priest come in to give me anointing of the sick, or as some people know it as last rites. And for those that don't know, last rites is pretty much what you give people on their deathbed. I didn't know this as an 11-year-old, or else I probably would have freaked out. I just empathized with my parents or any other person that had to go through that, any other parent, especially of a small child that had to go through that. It sucks. My parents were a wreck. Both of them were trying to hide it so they wouldn't let me know it, that they were worried or stressed or anything of the above. But they told me after the fact that they broke down multiple times in other rooms praying to God that I made it out. And I completely understand that. And to this day, they proved to me that they've always been the strongest people I'll ever know and ever will know. And so Mom and Dad, for getting through that, I thank you. If you guys didn't put on a good face, who knows how I would have reacted, and I could have been completely scarred to this day. But then eventually, as time went on, the headaches slowly started to subside for no reason. Yes, they were giving me medicine, they were giving me different medications, hooked me up to different IVs, but it was really weird about how fast I immediately turned for no apparent reason. I was pretty much on my deathbed. I actually saw a priest after the first one, so I saw 2 priests total, both giving me anointing of the sick, which is crazy. And as I started to get better, they started to figure out that it was press. And what press is, basically the brain swells and the tissues in the back of the head start to tear. And so the combination of the tearing and the brain pushing against the skull in certain ways, that was causing me to go unconscious and blind. And a lot of times the reason for this is an underlying autoimmune disease, cancer, but a big spike in blood pressure is what caused it for me, which is consistent with press. But the thing is, we still don't know to this day why my blood pressure spiked. It seemed to be like a completely one-off situation. No one has any idea what happened or why. And it's just a crazy, freak, fluky thing. And once they figured that out, once that happened, my recovery continued to get better. I ended up seeing the neurologist that I saw in the hospital in an outpatient setting as a follow-up. I really want to just get into summer. I'm super excited about tryouts, getting to play hockey, spending time with my friends, going outside, doing all those things that a kid does. But he looks at me and he says, you know, you're not going to be able to elevate your heart rate pretty much at all for 9 months. You're not going to be moving, because if you elevate your heart rate, your brain's going to pretty much swell. We have to let your brain recover from everything. And I become visibly upset. I'm crying. I'm just like, why can't I just play with my friends? Why can't I do X, Y, and Z? And he looks at me. I don't know this guy, except I trust him with my entire life at this point. He looked at me like I'm looking at you right now. And he says, you shouldn't be here right now. It's a miracle that you left the hospital alive. He said it just like that to me as an 11-year-old. My whole perspective on the situation kind of changed at that point. I went from being a little kid that just wanted to go outside and play, and I'm crying, why can't I go play with my friends, to, oh my gosh, I'm actually alive. I just went through something that was actually pretty serious. So thank God that I'm here. And that's pretty much the story of that 3-week period that everything was going down. It was super scary. I haven't had a flare-up since, knock on wood. I do have to go to the neurologist every year just for them to check out to make sure nothing residual is happening. They have to check out my eyes to make sure that that's still working properly. But I wanted to post this because it's the anniversary of when that happened. My mom still calls me almost every year during March saying, how's your head? Everything good? Just checking in on me, and I really do appreciate it. But I think the bigger reason for this video is you never know what's going to happen. Some crazy thing that no one knows why or no one can pin down can occur to anybody, can occur to any loved one, friend. So I just want to use this as a point to say, if you have any griefs with anybody, if you have any disagreements, squash them, because things can turn on a dime. And it's really important that we all love each other and we take care of each other and we're always checking in on each other, because crazy things can happen all the time. You should just love and appreciate the people that are in your life. So if there's someone you haven't talked to, reach out. If there's someone that you've had a fight with, apologize, because nothing's that important. And just give somebody a hug that you care about, because you don't know what might happen. That's my story. I hope you guys enjoyed, and thank God that I'm here. If anyone has gone through any type of medical travesty, whether it be yourself or a family member, I'm praying for you, because I know how tough it was for myself, but even tougher on my parents going through that emotional toll. So I'm here with you. I'm praying for you. And yeah, that's pretty much my story. I just wanted to share that with you guys because it's the anniversary. So like, comment, subscribe, whatever you want to do. I appreciate you guys watching. Thanks.